Thank you for tuning in. You're watching the Property Guide in ET Now. I'm Faye D'Souza. Now remember, if you have any questions at all about buying a home or getting a loan or even a legal problem you're having, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, and you can reach me personally on Twitter as well. Now I know we've got a wonderful response from the episode we did on the Pune market, but I would like to get back to answering your questions. This week on the show, Ashwinder Raj Singh is the CEO of Residential Services at JLL India, and Arvind Nandan is an independent analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. We'd like to start off, of course, by answering some questions on Mumbai, because it seems to be a market everybody's interested in. Neville has written in. He wants to invest 20 lakh rupees in the MMRDA region. Now, he tells us he'd like to choose between Western, Eastern and Central. He hasn't figured it out. This is purely an investment. His current research favorites, he says, are Virar or Nalasopara. And he wants to know which of these locations will give him the best returns. Now, remember, 20 lakh rupees is a small ticket size for Mumbai. But if we only talk about, and I want this answer from the both of you, and I'll start with Ashwinder. If we only talk about, returns that we could get, Western, Central and, from the harbour lines, which one do you think is most promising at this point?
See, I think all the three have their own advantages. 20 lakhs, as you said, is a little we let for, Virar. I think, the customer should really look at upping it up by another 10 lakhs, because these markets have, come up what they were, in the last 5 to 6 years. However, I still suggest him, if his budget remains 20 lakhs, he can look at the Badlapur belt or also the, Narendra belt. So, it depends, what the intention is. But if the intention is to invest, he'll have to go a little further, because Virar is now coming up, and I don't think he's going to get anything in 20 lakhs. It kind of starts at 30 lakhs now.
No, but if assume he was able to up his budget, just for the argument, just for the sake of argument, which of the three lines do you think offers the most promise in terms of returns right now?
I think Western does.
Western does?
Yeah.
Arvind, do you agree? Western?
Yeah, broadly, yes.
But just to argue with the fact that a lot of the, the infrastructure improvement has come up on the harbour side. So the freeway, the Santa Cruz Chambord Link Road, the metro lines, all of that seems to be on the harbour end.
You need to look at it slightly more comprehensively, I would say. Purely on the basis of future prospects, I would say going towards the eastern flank is probably a better shot if you are a long-term investor, which means, if you are going to invest and stay invested for 7, 8, 10 years, then probably that's the best bet for you. On the western line, of course, everything is hunky-dory. It's always been the prime of Mumbai, but it's getting saturated very fast. So very fast and very big appreciation in this particular belt is not as likely as is in the eastern suburbs. That's where you can actually find something worth investing, and you will have to bake it for a long while. You can't invest it and then think of having doubled it in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. That's probably not going to happen. So you'll have to invest it, leave it, let it bake.
Okay, all right, let's take another question. This is also about the MMRDA region. K. Venkatesan has written in. He's looking to buy a 3-bedroom apartment either in Thane or Mulund for end use with a budget of 2 crore rupees. He wants 2 car parking spaces and looking for possession within the next year. Please recommend some projects. Ashwinder, do you want to take that? Mulund might be a little difficult at 2 crores, don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you. It would be a little difficult, but there are, 2-3 projects that the gentleman can look at. He can look at Rustamji Urbania.
Possession in the next 1 year?
I think so. There are certain, possibilities there. You can look at, Dosti Vihar. You can look at Neelkant Green. I was trying to figure out. There are a couple of others where, I thought that might come in a lower than 2 crore mark also, which is like DB Parkwoods and Soham Tropical, which are there. But yes, if you really look at Mulund itself, you might have to up the ante by another 25 lakhs.
Because Rustamji Urbania, I mean, it's barely even Thane. It's much further down on that road.
Yeah,
so it's nowhere near Mulund.
Yeah, so that's why I was, kind of struggling to give options on that. But you will have to go a little away from that.
Oh, that's the story of Mumbai. Either you compromise on the budget or you compromise on the location. Is there anything on your list that you can add to that?
Just to add one more dimension. I mean, broadly what you've spoken is actually the case. Mulund has a lot of options, by the way, but if you're looking at only a 12-month clock, then you have a bit of difficulty. And I think there is practically only one option which is looking like getting ready, which is Nirmal Turquoise. That's the only one which probably is looking like getting ready at 12,000 or 12,200 rupees a square foot. And
12,000 rupees a square foot, 3 bedrooms, 2 car parks, all of the loading, that might be...
You'll have to up your budget.
Actually, this is the other question for the both of you. If, someone like this gentleman, like K. Venkatesan, who's looking for possession in the next 1 year, should he sort of give himself a 6-month window for some sort of delay? Because that's the market we're looking at right now, isn't it?
See, I was just thinking about it, and there's another option that, Venkatesh can look at. So he can look at those local developers which have kind of mushroomed in that area. But, that's
what are the
risky.
risks? Yeah, what are the risks there?
The risks are, the risk can be as good as you don't get the delivery as it is promised. Then there are certain compliances that can be at risk, certain, licenses, etc. requirements which are there, which need to be from the government, can be at risk. It's a very different profile that looks at it. But well, people stay there, people buy it, and at times, it works for you. So that is a segment. It is a high-risk segment. You need to have your proper due diligences in place.
But on an average, if I were looking at, say, one of the townships that you just mentioned, you all both gave us a couple of lists, and these are all names that we're all familiar with. What sort of, in all fairness, given the market we're in, what sort of leeway should I be willing to give my developer right now for a delay in possession?
See, I'll tell you, these guys are pretty serious on their commitments now. They've had a hard time. The issue with them is liquidity, which is also a very broadly linked issue, and the fraternity is trying to figure out how to handle that. So I'm sure what is happening is, with my experience, they have stopped overcommitting. So, I don't think they're going to commit a year, and, max they will give it in, 18 months. So unless and until they don't do that...
So that's still a 6-month delay then. So that's what we should be prepared for.
Which I think the consumer has already built it in. I think as a consumer, if I look at it, they today, even if it is a 1-year delay, till the time they see it is getting in, they have, kind of figured out that, okay, I can live with a 1-year delay, but not more than that. So they are far more smarter now.
Now, if, Venkatesan goes out tomorrow with checkbook in hand, looking for a home that's going to be ready, say, in the next 1 year, given the liquidity crisis that we're in, what sort of a bargain can he drive on any of the homes that we just talked about?
Well, there is no one answer, but yes, there are bargains available. It's a common knowledge these days. In fact, in many cases, it's actually written negotiable. Prices in the brackets, in the braces, you will find negotiable. So you'll have to have a very good hold on what is happening on that particular project. Usually, an 8 to 10% negotiation does happen, provided you are actually a real buyer with a checkbook in hand. But if you're just inquiring, then you probably may not be able to exploit those kind of numbers.
So if he has, say, his home loan approved, he has, the down payment ready in cash to pay out, or, he has the check ready in his hand to pay out. Out of the list that you called out, what is the room for negotiation right now?
So, negotiation has become very different. Just on the price, 8 to 10%, I agree with Arvind, is something that you can look at. But I look at it very differently. You can also have negotiations on the payment plan, which is becoming a far more better way to negotiate. So you have these 20/80 schemes which are there in even affluent segment, high value, constructions which are there. So obviously you can have a good payment plan that can be negotiated. You can negotiate on the price. You can negotiate on, even
clubhouse
certain
and parking and
amenities,
that sort of thing,
certain specs that you want the developer to change for your, apartment without negotiating on the price. So I think it is a dimensional approach which can be taken, which is good.
All right, so it is a buyer's market, and if you're ready to buy right now, you can drive a very, very hard bargain, and that's what you should do. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for staying with us. Both of our guests are still with us, and we're trying to answer as many questions as we can this week. We have a question from a viewer who I believe is on the phone right now. Hello, is that Hari Prasad? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
All right, go ahead. Tell us what your question is.
Yeah, I'm looking for flats, locations near to Madhapur, around 20 kilometers circumference. My budget is 35K,
Okay.
35 lakhs. And if you have any suggestions of builders or apartments with good amenities in this budget, please suggest.
Hari, when are you hoping, to move into this apartment?
Near term, within 6 months to 1 year.
Okay, so you want something that's nearly ready then. And are there any other specifications in terms of how many bedrooms you'd like, or what sort of amenities that you'd hope to have?
I'm looking for 2 BHK and then child play area.
All right, 2 BHK.
Nearby schools, yeah.
All right, nearby schools there. So he wants in and around Madhapur. Do you have anything there that could fit into his budget?
Hari, I think, 35 lakhs is going to be a little tight for you at Madhapur. I think the prices have gone up. You can still look at Gachibowli or Miapur, which is nearby. And some of the projects that, I can think of and I can advise you are Green Grandeur by Mopa. You have Bosai, you have Hillcrest, and you have Pancha Janja, which are, these 4 projects that he can look at, which he will get, in a budget of 35 lakhs.
All right. Arvind, is there any advice you'd like to give someone who's buying a house in Hyderabad right now?
Yes, absolutely, and particularly for Mr. Hari Prasad. I think Ashwinder was a little modest. I would say it's practically impossible to find something in 35 lakhs, that too, which is ready to move in. Rates are now 5,000 to 6,000 rupees a square foot. I would be surprised. Now, if you look at the overall city of Hyderabad, then there are, a plethora of opportunities. On the one hand, you have Madhapur, which is in any case established, doing quite well. The southern flank is actually also doing quite okay now. If you travel towards Shamsabad and all, we've discussed it in earlier programs. And if you go towards Secunderabad as well, there are possibilities.
Hari, tell us this. Have you been house hunting already? Have you found anything within your budget near Madhapur?
No, actually I'm looking for the locations near to Madhapur, not in the exact Madhapur center, as I know it is very costly area. But I looked into Kukatpalli area.
Okay.
The costs are almost 40 lakhs, something like that. 40.
Kukatpalli or towards Outer Ring Road, both will be good. Like you said, Miapur is another option.
Gachibowli is also a good area that you can look at.
Okay.
I think that should be a good area.
The thing about Gachibowli is does it have enough social infrastructure? He's obviously going to move there with a child. Is there a school nearby? Is there enough public transport, for example, in Gachibowli? Will that be a challenge for him?
Yeah, but it's always that whenever you are compromising with budget, you have to, because 2 years, 3 years down the line, that place also might be, outside
out of the
this.
budget. Yeah.
So you have to compromise on these things initially.
So Hari, it does seem like good news. Consider Gachibowli as well. You'll have to compromise perhaps a little bit on social infrastructure, but it might take a year or 2 before that improves. And you can get back in touch with us if you need anything else at all, whether that's legal or to do with your home loan. Feel free to get in touch. Thank you so much for calling in. Well, Baswa Chatterjee has written in. He has a 2-bedroom apartment in Hyderabad and he bought it purely as an investment for 23.5 lakh rupees. He wants to know, does it make sense to hold on to it and what price appreciation he can expect from that area?
I think it doesn't make sense to sell it now because things have just started to improve. He should wait for at least 2 to 3 years, let things consolidate. The real, action I feel you'll start seeing in the next 2 to 3 years. But right now the markets are in a consolidation phase. I don't think it's going to yield any results if you end up selling the apartment. You don't gain
and
anything.
having waited this long for Hyderabad to do well, it would be, it's only another couple of years.
It's better to wait for a couple of years more.
Yeah. All right. So stay for 3 years at least and then revisit that entire idea. Balakrishnan Iyer has written in from Bangalore. He bought a flat in the Sriram Smriti apartments in Sarjapur and he says he's working in Delhi right now. He said the area is far from city limits. It's on the border of Hosur. Well, that's not really far from city limits anymore. He says there's abundant supply of flats in the area, resulting in getting a tenant has been difficult. Under the circumstances, what appreciation can he expect over the next 2 to 3 years? Hosur has always been, has always received a lot of attention from builders, from people who want to rent out, because it is, a very high, frequented area. He's having trouble getting a tenant. Will that continue for long?
But before that, a question: is there a market in Bangalore that doesn't get much attention? I mean, there's no market in Bangalore.
That is true.
And the other strange part about Bangalore is that every couple of years there are a couple of new micro markets that emerge. So 3-4 years ago, we were never speaking of Devanahalli. Yeah. But now, today we do.
But technically, we started talking about Devanahalli about 7 years ago when the airport opened.
Yeah, because of the airport, but not as a habitable area.
No.
But
it's still not a habitable area, if you ask me.
We start speaking of that. So what I was trying to say is, this particular location and Sarjapur Atibale Road is actually a very good location. Yes, there has been a problem in terms of a lot of stock and the price is not rising very fast. And I think the concern is regarding that. The rentals aren't really moving up. But I think he needs to look into the future a little bit. There is SABIC R&D Center, which has already come up in the vicinity. There's Decathlon, where a new IT park, ITSZ is coming up. So there's a lot of commercial and support activity, ancillary activity that's coming up there. If you are just a little bit patient, and not even 3-4 years, maybe a year or maybe 24 months at the most, you will see that the whole thing is changing quite well. So I would say there is no concern, no cause for worry here, and maybe he can give a different opinion or the same opinion reinforced. But I think it is a place where you can actually stay put and you will get good returns in due course.
So if he's looking at the next 2 to 3 years, which is what he's asked for, what sort of appreciation can I expect in the next 2 to 3 years? What would you tell him?
I don't think he can expect more than 8% or so. Yeah.
So the average fixed deposit?
Yeah. Even lower than that.
Even lower than that?
Yeah,
Because he's paying tax and maintenance.
With the rates going down, yes, you're right, average, and then you have maintenance, then you are staying in Delhi. Whenever you have an apartment which is away from home, your costs increase to maintain it. But, it is Bangalore.
So hold on to it, would you say, or consider something else?
Unless and until he's not in a crunch or he doesn't need it for any personal use and he's looking to further invest it, I don't think there is any other option which is quickly coming, to my mind where he can invest. Yes, if tomorrow there is an option that comes up, he might want to, liquidate this and invest there. But currently, I think he should stay put.
Right. Arvind, you were going to add something.
Yeah, I was actually going to say two distinct things that a person like this should remember. Practically we mentally get logged into certain things. So you have an apartment, let's say, like Ashwindra is saying, you wanted to divest and move out and do something else, if at all. Why would you want to look at only apartments? That's my question number one. Bangalore particularly is a place where there are options, not just apartments, but there are plots available. And very fortunately in Bangalore, prices haven't been fluctuating in that mad manner, which has happened in the northern and the western part of India. There are villa projects. There are quite a few developers. It's worthless naming any of them.
But I have this question when it comes to buying land in Bangalore, and I know there are a lot of people who consider land a good investment. If I were to just buy a BDA-approved piece of land, there's a problem of encroachment. There's a problem of maintaining it. If I were to buy, which is going to be my next, if I were to buy a piece of land that a builder has already plotted out and given all the amenities, then there's very little appreciation the builder leaves on the table for the investor.
So you have to look at it slightly differently.
Yeah.
When you invest in a plot, you don't invest it in the manner that you do in an apartment. Okay. So number one, plots are also a bit of problem in Bangalore because in many cases, even the government provided plots have run into trouble of documentation and various other things. Not everywhere, but in some cases. What you should ideally do is look at an integrated township or a development where these things are in place, and you have to ensure that that particular developer has gotten it cleared from the government. Because if it was a second sale and if it wasn't cleared by the KIA, DB or anybody else, then you might have a problem in future. So you can invest in that, and then you have to keep it for a long while. When I say long while in a plot, it automatically means 8-10 years, not 3-4 years. Because
I don't really agree on the entire land thing, because if he was going to wait 8 to 10 years, he might as well wait for his apartment in Sarjapur Road than for 8 to 10 years.
That's what I said initially.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly answer some more questions. Chandan has written in he'd like to buy a 2 or a 3 bedroom apartment in Gurgaon with a budget of 50 lakh rupees. He says he can hold the property for 5 years. It's purely an investment. Please give me some projects. All right, Ashwin, that you want to take that?
50 lakhs in Gurgaon is a very low budget. So, however, Gurgaon has been expanding. So you have the new Gurgaon that has come up. And I have, I think, couple of areas where he can get an apartment but he'll have to look at a minimum of 80 lakhs of investment. I don't think he's going to get anything less than 80 lakhs. And that is one is Gurgaon 1, which is in Sector 84. And then there's a good development come up by Vatika India Next, which is again a good area to invest in this time period with certain good deals going on.
All right, so there are options, but you're going to have to extend your budget a little bit. Ranjit Kumar has also written in, he wants to buy a 3-bedroom flat in the Gaur Soundaryam project in Noida Extension, budget of 60 to 70 lakh rupees. Is it a good investment option? Noida Extension has come up on this show a couple of times. Good option right now?
Several times. I think it's an okay option, but the problem has been, it was launched about 2.5-3 years ago. And it was one of the most expensive projects. It still continues to be. It was launched at about 5,000 rupees a square foot or something. And today, it has almost stayed there. In certain piecemeal cases, prices have even dropped. So you need to remember that. The chances of appreciation are not very high, at least not in the foreseeable couple of years or so. So you just need to keep that in mind very clearly. I think you might want to buy a 2 BHK in Noida somewhere, a smaller
At this
apartment.
price though?
No.
Yeah,
You'll have to make some
you'll
adjustments.
have to make
but you're looking at an appreciation or something, right?
So if you were to look at an investment in the NCR region, what else would you recommend other than Noida Extension?
My
right
view
now?
is a little different than Arvind. I think, if you really look at the project has done very well. It has kind of from rates of, the rates it was and where it is today, there has been a good amount of appreciation. Yes, I agree with him that, in the near future, the appreciation is not going to be that ways. But, there are 4 or 5 very good features in this particular project. First of all, it is a green building. There is no other green building there. And slowly and steadily, that is going to have a good impact on your investable approach on that project. Secondly, it's a low density project. Only 3-bedroom houses, ranging between 1,500 to 2,400, which is a thing that most of the savvy buyers have started really looking at. Then it is walking distance from the upcoming metro. You have a superb connectivity which is with the expressway. So the way it is kind of located, and God is a very respected name in that area.
What sort of appreciation can you expect over the next 3 or 4 years?
I think he can expect an appreciation of anywhere between 20 to 25% in the next 30. Yeah.
I have 40 seconds. Give me a quick rebut. You were nodding and you were saying, no, I don't expect 25%.
I do not expect, seriously, I don't. In fact, from the latest information that the data that I haven't seen much appreciation happening in this project from the time it's been launched, if I just look at the point-to-point comparison. So, if I have to look for an appreciation, I will rather say maybe 10% or lower. Definitely not 25%. I don't see that happening because
25% over 4 years, right? That was your question.
Yeah.
Or was it an annual
over 3 years? No. Obviously.
Yeah.
2 to 3 years, yeah, maybe 10-12%. I just can't bring myself to agree to a 25%. But yeah, views could vary.
All right, so both of our guests have a little bit of a difference of opinion on what you can expect from that particular apartment, but they agree that it might make sense to buy it. If you have more questions, you can get in touch with us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's always interesting to have different opinions on a panel. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with ET now.